In the EA space, no tool comes close to System Architect in terms of enabling solution architects to build designs. We offer a gamut of techniques and functionality, and we'll take a look at it here. Let's start with this business capability, provide trading risk management service, and I've tied it to a solution design. So here we have what I would call a very lightweight solution design for this capability, provide trading risk management service. We're in the world of TOGAF. This is data driven. It could be conceptual. We also support brainstorming solution conceptual diagrams, but this is data driven. And we're looking at the same business capability, the business services that we want to support that capability, a secure login to an account, and then also an AI-driven trading advice. We're looking at business processes, managing the strategic investment risk that are aligned with that capability, operationalize it. We're looking at also this application, GMFS risk control, which will use application services, secure CAC card login, and also an AI chatbot advisor, and then also a security login. And we're looking at ports. So this is a very lightweight modeling, but still we provide that solution designer, the solution architect, the ability to show ports, which is important. And let's take a look in here. This shows required ports and provided ports. This one was a provided one. And interfaces between those application services. And then also we see the data that this application will ingest and they'll also get fed. This data might be architected in our system, and we might have it in a logical data model representing our databases. The process might be modeled out as a BPMN business process diagram. And further, the solution architect might want to model out the solution using the icon set of one of the major vendors. In this case, we're looking at the Amazon AWS icon set for solution architectures. We have the gamut of their products and the icons that they provide with definitions under each, so that the solution architect has this portfolio of information that they could use to build out this web service. Now let's go over for a second to SAXT, our command center for the enterprise architecture. Amongst the many things you can do in System Architect XT is set up useful links on your personalized dashboards for things such as latest industry standards or other helpful links for digital transformation, such as the System Architect community site, where you can get a quick look at the icon sets that we support. We support all the major vendors, IBM, Microsoft Azure, AWS, and then also Google Cloud icons. And for each of these, you can easily download the icon set, a meta model to use it in System Architect, and also some examples. The major vendors also provide examples. So if I went out to, for example, that AWS Financial Advisor Chat Assistant, you can see it here on AWS, where they've already modeled it out. They have a lot of folks working on different solutions using their products or other products in the industry to give best practice on building out solution architectures. And you can model this in System Architect. Now, for Microsoft, they do it in Visio, and they provide the Visio files, and System Architect has an automatic Visio importer, so you can import those solutions from Microsoft. For IBM, System Architect is one of the trusted business partners, so IBM advises users to use System Architect to build out IBM solutions with their technologies. Now, when you talk to software architects and system architects, they like to speak in the language of UML for software architecture and sysML for systems architecture. We have that here too. So let's take a look at this specially made client device for security, a CAC card. And we see we have a sysML block diagram. Now, System Architect offers very detailed full support for sysML 1.6 and also UML 2.5. And if you're a modeler, if you're an enterprise architect, you know how to model, I will tell you this, sysML is like being in a Klingon battleship. There's so much detail here in building out architecture for systems and ports and flow ports, etc. It's another world, but we support it all. Let's take a look at this block, the secure card reader, and you're in a sysML sequence diagram providing all of the notations of sysML to model out that solution architecture. Now, one other thing here, these purple triangles or arrows, when I hover over them, give me a live pop-up look at the information in another tool. In this case, a requirements tool. Happens to be Focal Point, could be a requirements tool like Doors, etc. And this is really important for systems engineers who need to link requirements to their designs in the architecture. And I can open up that requirement in the other tool. Clicking the link brings me right to the requirement. Now, creating a link is as easy as right mouse clicking on an item and choosing to link to requirement. In this case, Focal Point is a tool that I have a friendship to using the requirements management version 2.0 of the OSLC specification. I can link to any tool that supports that specification, including Doors or any other requirement tool. Same thing with the linking to architecture. In this case, I'm linking to System Architect itself and other encyclopedias, but I could link to any architecture tool that supports the architecture management 2.0 OSLC specification. We also support change management specification, and we also support the global configuration specification of OSLC, which enables you to manage the versioning of links, which is very important. Now let's talk about data. System Architect has very powerful data architecture, data modeling, and data analysis capabilities, as important as ever now with artificial intelligence. You need to know how good your data is. Let's go back to our EA Command Center in XT and take a look at that ISO 20022 initiative for banking, which offers a standard message set, a global ontology of communication for the banking industry. We'll just grab a message set at random here, download account switching. From this zip file download, we'll select a message set. And then in System Architect, reverse engineer that XSD file into a class diagram. And so this XML schema is brought into the enterprise architecture where we can utilize the data. And we can use it as classes, or we can map this diagram to an ER diagram where everything gets converted into entities, which we can use within the context of the enterprise architecture. Further, what we can do is reverse engineer databases. So let's take a look at reversing an Oracle database. We see that in System Architect, we have a physical data model that has nothing in it, but in the DDL file that we're looking at from Oracle, there's a whole bunch of tables. So let's bring them all in and all the views. The physical data model is reverse engineered. We can take a look at it. Now we're looking at the data model in terms of tables and columns in those tables, primary keys, foreign keys, constraints between tables, and we can now map this to an entity relation diagram. And so now we have a relational data model where we're looking at entities, relationships, attributes of the entities. We've developed an underlying data dictionary of data that can be reused. And also, we're tracking the source of the data, in this case, from the physical data model that was reverse engineered. And source of data is very important, especially when you get into data cataloging and understanding how your data goes through your enterprise and all the applications. And so we have data migration views, where you're looking at applications and the flow of information between applications. And on that flow of information, the data that gets transformed. And that's especially important, as I say, to understand how good your data is for artificial intelligence efforts. Now, System Architect has native capability to build layers of architecture. We call them workspaces. You can baseline an architecture at any point, becomes read-only, and build future state versions on it, layered on top of it, using its baseline information, but then you can add or delete or change it. You can have a writable current state, and you can have multiple future states. So you can build solution architectures in different future state architectures, different solution architectures, having different people work on it, or the same person. There's a lot of ways to use workspaces. Customers use them in a lot of different ways. But then at some point, you can compare across workspaces and then merge across workspace, do a selective merge, and then baseline that new workspace as your new current state architecture. Once you open one of these, everything looks the same. You're just playing in System Architect. You don't know you're in a workspace. You just happen to be in a new version of the encyclopedia or the repository. In SAXT, the Command Center for Enterprise Architecture, you can have it and its reports pointing at the current encyclopedia and enterprise architecture repository, or you can point at other encyclopedias or workspaces in an encyclopedia. So you can surface up side by side or side by side different solution architectures built in different workspaces or encyclopedias using different techniques connected to different things, because of course everything changes, processes change, data changes with different solutions. And so here we have a solution built with Amazon Web Services in one workspace, and in another workspace, someone has been using IBM Garage icons and their solutions to build out a solution. So you can see them side by side and then fill the top up with reports and show differences between different solutions and price differences, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's just some of what makes System Architect the best tool for solution architecture. We haven't covered UML for software architecture and design, explorer diagrams, analytics, customizable meta model, etc. Check out our other videos for those topics. And thanks for watching.